Golden Guides, you talk about some good aliens, Oshalu says some good aliens want to help the humans to wake up. So my question is, have these good aliens themselves the awareness of the is? Because, excuse me, aliens are what we know them to be, somehow trapped in creation. But here we find some good ones trying to help man to wake up. So what comes to mind immediately is whether they have attained real freedom themselves, and have they attained the consciousness of the is. Yeah, Duane.
Well, that's a biggie like anything, and so again, whatever people decide or have their experiences accordingly. But really, when it's a little bit humorous when we talk about aliens. Okay, there's many alien factors here in the United States, starting off at square one. People coming across the border, they are called illegal aliens. Okay, so we use the same word. It's kind of funny that they use the same word. It could be something like illegal trespassers. It could be that, but they use the word aliens. Why is that? Did they want to get the word alien into the consciousness? Well, they've gotten it in there. And then we have so-called outer space aliens, which people have been basically taught to fear. What if we're invaded by aliens, and do aliens exist, etc.? So there becomes a different reference. But it's the same word. It's spelled the same. Okay, same word, you see? And so, again, many interpretations on the same word. And so realistically, from the point of view of others, take anybody, when, the Mexicans, when they're in Mexico and they see the United States, the gringos come over, we're aliens to them too. And so everybody's aliens. They really are. And so it's really kind of humorous that the planet is full of aliens. The whole galaxy and cosmos is full of aliens. Yet there are these particular definitions of what this is. And really, a lot of it's just marketing ploy to get people to think a particular way. So, this is the fun part, bringing this around. And I'll create a group on this. I already did. There was one, and I've created many. Just recently did here in the last couple of days. Rebel reptilians singing "New You," and yes, they are out there, but they're afraid to let themselves be known. I get it. Okay, so again, there's the fear factor, because everything here is based on fear. This is totally inbred in everything. And so the alien idea, what is it really? What is really these things that we relate to? And so, again, here's the challenge. Here's the fun part. And that is that seeing it from different points of view, instead of going with, I will use the idea of being politically right. Well, this is what it is, and this is what it is. What does the government say? Okay, we go to the government. How does it define this in the government dictionary? All right. I'm not sure if there is one, but I'm sure. But we'll just say there is. Okay, I'll make it up myself. There's a government dictionary, and there actually is, because, again, they have made statements accordingly, and it's official statements. And these are statements of restriction and control. Of course they are. They can't really be anything else, because that's their agenda. And so they have agenda to fulfill, constantly fulfill. So the alien idea, whatever it is according to them, but then again, each one of us has our experience with this. Again, I find it very, very interesting that what does it really mean? What does any of this mean? We're all in life, and then we've gotten used to this labelization of things, to where there's really no understanding of it, but just a lot of ideas that surround it. And so this is the fun part that I have. This is why I like creating these groups on Facebook and whatever, just for the fun of putting these ideas out there and giving a reference and updating things. And this is where I've said many times, I'm rewriting history. Because again, history is locked within itself. It has its idea of itself accordingly. And a lot of it is what? Foo-foo. Cute ideas sound good, which is fine. Okay, you romance it. I romance things too, to the point of providing a new view. That's the idea, not taking something and distorting it to where, people agree to it unconsciously and they're subject to the effects of it. That becomes the difference. And real fast, I want to back up. About the guru or the master. I'm not saying that he cares or he doesn't care. The interesting idea is that as he market, we'll just take the love and happiness idea. And see, I don't really refer to that too much, simply because then people will focus on that. And that becomes like an agreement that people like. And through that, they're going to focus on that. And they're going to unconsciously agree to what's taking place and what affects them, and they're not going to see it coming, and they're still going to stay unconscious. So what I do is I kind of bypass that. So in a way, you could say that he's setting people up to agree, just like David Icke when he's talking about the reptilians. He doesn't have the real cure. So he has the ideas. But I would say that in a way, these people that promote that all the time, and you can see the end result of so many of these things and what's going on with the people, etc. Most of them just stay very passive to everything, okay? And they're in their la-la land, and the world is dying. And all of a sudden, when it catches up to them, it's like, oh, gee, what happened? And they can believe in their gods and whatever, and guess what? They're still in a fog as they pass over. Because, again, it's according to their consciousness and the lack of recognizing their real awareness. So in a way, these people are simply promoting, helping to promote through love and happiness, the demise of the planet. And so again, yes, everybody is an alien, aren't we? We're even aliens to ourselves, okay? And so again, what is the real definition here? So the sun again demonstrates a real example. And how is it that you can figure out that you yourself can stand real with that reality and provide something that makes sense in a world that doesn't? There's the challenge. Yes. Go ahead, Charles. Thank you for asking.
It seems that with the ISSSNESS, there is no need to carry any mental baggage, as one could focus on anything and instantly know the in and out of it. So does living in the ISSSNESS not result in a terrifying void or emptiness of the mind, a loss of consciousness, Duane?
Okay, so what's the idea?
Yeah, because it would appear that the ISSSNESS would result in fact, keeping the mind in abeyance, where there is no need to carry any mental load, as one could focus on anything. Like, for instance, when you are talking, like responding to questions here and making comments, it's not like you pre-prepared anything to say. What you say just comes like that from the ethers. So I want to know whether living in the ISSSNESS it's like a skill that one has to learn how to do it, because people have become addicted to holding on to the mind. So But living in the isness probably entails some emptying of the mind. It creates a voidness, maybe a loss of consciousness that could be terrifying to some people. So I don't know whether you have something to say about this.
That's like one of those 1-minute movie trailers, isn't it? Terrifying and in the void and all these things. And where is he? He's lost. Okay, etc. So actually, it's none of that. And so it's really none of anything that you said. This is what's so cool about it. Mm-hmm. Real freedom is just a reference, okay? Because it doesn't even define really anything, because the isness is what it is. So we are experiencing what it is not, and we need to recognize that too. But what the isness is, and yes, it's like a skill. You would say, yes, with your, articulating how you relate to it, what it is. And so the misconception comes in with this reality. You see, again, we talked about belief and all these things. So people create an idea that refers to the idea that's been already created. So in other words, people have the belief idea, that's a created idea, and they refer it to the God idea, which is another idea, is all it is, because people don't know their God, so they got to refer to the idea of it. Well, with the isness, it's not that. It cannot be that, otherwise you're really not seeing it. And it is a skill, like anything else, like anybody's mastered anything, like I surf, or people are, can swing a hammer and hit the nail head, etc. It's a skill that, yes, and we're going through this motion here, which is very interesting. All the motions that we're going through is to, eventually wake up to decide how we're going to focus on this particular skill of recognizing this reality that cannot be recognized in the common sense. And this is the fun part of it, I see. To catch on to this, it really kind of makes you giggle. And yes, it is a skill. It's awesome. It really is. And the part is that there is really, realistically, there is no unconsciousness. The personal self is unconscious. And dealing with the personal self is an unconsciousness. But the reality life is, it's all aware. It's an all awareness, and it's all aliveness. It's just not the spirit idea, you see? Because really, again, that is the reflective light in through creation, which is knowledge. That's all it can be. So people think that's the real light, but it's not alive. It's a reflective. It's a reflective part of creation that is necessary. It's all necessary. So again, yes, this is a skill. This is what I see. And yes, it's good you brought that up, to articulate this. And best of all, not just to have it in your mind, you might say, that, oh, I know this or I experience this. It's not about that. I don't sit there and flaunt that, oh, I know this or whatever. It's not about that. It's about how do you figure out how to demonstrate it in some way, in every sense, throughout the whole of life, and that includes creation itself. It's very, very important. But yet, what is first? Okay, so what is first with everything? So, it is a skill to recognize, first of all, your real awareness, and then a relationship. And how does this relationship truly work with this isness, you see? And on, you will say, all levels. So let's just bring it down to the physical level here. And that is that, okay, so what do you do in the physical sense? Do you just sit around cross-legged and look cool and say cute things? Is that what you do? Is that the real relationship with this isness? I don't see it as that at all. Again, I just explained many times, like the Orion thing with the Queen and whatever. That was confrontation. That was abrasive. She wasn't happy about that at all. So again, it wasn't about her happiness, was it? But it did make sense with what's going on in the world, because she was contributing to the destruction of the planet, because she sees us as bugs. That's very real. okay, see it from her viewpoint, she could care less. And so, the attitude on Orion has changed too because of that. So again, it's interesting the ideas that we have as we try to approach this reality, you might say. So we use these ideas, and again, approach is, no, there's no such thing, because it's an isness. Yeah, it's like the sun shining. Do you approach the sun? Do you do any of these things? If you need something for your mind as a reference, use the sun. Every idea you can think of, does it relate to the sun in some way? Oh, I like the sun, or I don't like the sun. Does that have anything to do with the sun? No, it has nothing to do with it. This is the fun part, to recognize what it is demonstrating. It's kind of like you become like this little kid. It's like, oh, wow, I see it. Yeah. And then, so what are you going to do next? Huh? You can do something? Or are you just going to be dull like you've always been? So again, it's interesting, the experience that we each have with life and the end result of what we do. So again, there is no idea that relates to it. You have to accordingly create ideas that reference it of a particular. This becomes, a heck of a challenge to do this and make sense of it. But at the same time, how's it going to make sense to the world itself? So again, that's why I'm doing the projects. That's why I created all these things, the Worldwide Educators, the Universal Surfers, and just on, because I want to get Rebazar out there. I want to get his name out there. And there's a bigger picture that's coming with this, a much, much bigger picture. It's going to be a real surprise to this world. And I'm very focused on it until it happens. So whatever it takes, I'm very focused on it to where it will become so here through all of creation. So it's no longer from here to there. Again, these are ideas. It's an isness. And through this isness, you have a complete awareness. That's why I wondered what to call the courses in the beginning. And so I thought, okay, here we are. We're at that point where we're going to complete this. So I call them the True Completeness Course. And this is where you have the possibility to complete this right now, with this isness, to see this, but doesn't mean that, okay, it's like I'm done. It's like, okay, what do I do now, or I do nothing? No, that's not it. There's always a lot to do, because there are individuals in creation that are struggling to become more aware. So it's like a woman that keeps having children. It's like, okay, we got the next baby and the next baby and the next baby as the other ones are going on. And so again, it's this active awareness. It's this recognition of this all aliveness that is endless, and each person decides. So again, I go off what the real guides are demonstrating. They are the intermediates. We'll say between the is and the people that are unaware on the earth, and I see what they do, and I take the risk to decide certain things and see if they'll back me. I just take the risk, and when they do, it's a crack up, because I try to make sense of it the best I can with what's going on here in this crazy world, but at the same time, confrontation. You have to rattle people's cages a little bit to, again, we have rights too. Everybody has rights. And so, yes, Charles, according to what you said and what you're presenting here, yeah, but the isness itself, it's interesting. And yes, it is. It becomes a skill. And it downright does. It becomes a real skill. And it's a challenge to have this skill. It's like a person that's a professional musician or something. That's a skill where you stand and you are the musician. I see that this is where you stand real in a universal position. What the all is. You become that. You got to figure it out. It is a skill to stand there and do that, and to really accomplish that. And so who will do that? Who will honorably do that? Aside from everything else, aside from their own personal life, routines and idea and relationships and all these things. Guess what? It'll all still be there. You're not giving up anything. It's just that your awareness takes the place of all these things to where you see everything now. But yet, see, again, you got to deal with your personal self. And these things are very important, thinking that they come first. Well, again, you decide.
The ISSSNESS life is guarantees that everything one wants to have, or what one wants to have or intends to have is already here. It is already just waiting for our perception and recognition of this fact. So one way to be grounded or rooted in this life is to make some affirmations. So some people may like to do some affirmations like, I am safe, I'm confident, I'm abundant, I'm healthy, I have everything I need, I'm balanced, I'm grounded, I'm worthy, I'm strong, something like that. These affirmations, like you said in some of these thoughts, they help, they create an aura all their own and become engraved on the mind and have a life of their own with time. And I found out that this is a way to stimulate and open and balance what we call the root chakra, which makes us grounded in this life, to be present here, to have the courage to live life, and the will to be and the courage to be here and now. Now, many new friends, especially in Africa, may not know that living in the ISSSNESS amounts to assuming or taking the position or affirming that one is already self-sufficient, as everything ever wished for is already here and now. So will it be advisable to make some affirmations while singing the new song in order to attain this much needed balance that most people need at this level of life? I ask because we are here and now, and we need to be rooted in order to live successfully here. I remember Rebizer in Stranger by the River admonishes that we should let our roots sink into the earth, and we partake of its joys and its sorrows, but let our heads tower into the spiritual heavens, which I would like to call the real universes. So this is an indication that we must of necessity be firmly anchored here in this world in order to even have any realizations. So what do you say about this, Duane?
Here's the fun part, and that is that, again, with any of these ideas, when you look at the sun shining, do you see it? So yes, you can use affirmations, affirmations, or whatever you want to call them, confirm, etc. Well, the reality is that you're already here. Okay, so it's a metaphor. It's a poetic romance to say, oh well, you have yourself rooted here in your head and being in heaven and all these things, and that's fine. Those are the old metaphors, the ideas, and that's cute. But the isness is of a particular. So when you make these affirmations, keep in mind whatever affirmation you make, it's an idea. First of all, and it starts off with that, which is fine. It's an idea. So you can say that I am the is, I'm in the is. Okay, you can say that, and you keep repeating it. And again, everybody's going to have their experience accordingly, so everything is fine. But realistically, then what does the person do? just like in the corporation, oh, I'm an echist, or, I'm a Christian, or whatever. See, these are affirmations. And so after a while, what does the individual do? Because, again, they still just continually go on with their routines. They go into their personal life because that's first. But they create these affirmations thinking that, oh, okay, this is just one way to say it, that, okay, I'm this, I'm that, etc. And so compare that to the recognition of what that actuality is. Is there a difference? Or is it that the individual just simply starts to do these affirmations and they become a subconscious position of that becomes actually the unconscious focus of what's taking place? And is there tap lines there with that? Is there other things going on? Because again, life is actually a conscious recognition and participation. This is where we're recognizing the true reality from just making confirmations, especially like, okay, that we're already here. Okay, we're already walking on the earth. Okay, we're already basically everybody's grounded here because most people, for the most part, if not all of them, accept the fact that they're human part. That is being grounded. You're already there. So why is it that you would have to create? Do the birds do this? Do the animals do that? Are they sitting around thinking, I'm a bear on earth, I'm a bear on earth? Do they sit there and do that? Do the birds do that? I'm a bird in a nest, I'm a bird in a nest. No, but people do, don't they? And actually through all this stuff, again, this is what Tony Robbins sells. You pay thousands of dollars to where he says, oh, okay, just do this affirmation, confirmation with yourself, and hey, you'll be fine and you'll get a better job and make more money. Whatever the idea is. And of course you will, because you keep deciding it. You can keep saying money, 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 and pretty soon you got all kinds of money. It comes around to it. But again, maybe not, because you don't recognize what's taking place. There's the recognition. So, the idea is one thing, just like what I'm presenting. This is why I say they're references. They are not realities, okay? They are just simply references. And this is where people get caught up in the affirmations of these ideas. And so it's very subtle how things are, just like between the mind and your real awareness. It's very subtle. Paul talked about this too. It's a very subtle experience. And it's just really easier to go with the comfort zone, what seems familiar and comfortable. Myself, I like to see what else there is that I cannot consider. That's where I like to go. And it's not the void, okay, because there's nothing in the void, just like the sixth level. I wanted to define that so people better understand it, because it's an experience that one has, and that is nirvana or the void or whatever. It has been defined, but it's not properly defined as to what it really is. These people think it's the top and absolute of all creation, and there's nothing else because you're above the mind. Well, again, they've created an affirmation about that position, that is the ultimate, and that's where they've stuck themselves. Well, if that's where you want to be, have fun. So again, I'm referring to that there is more, and I don't get into the affirmations or whatever, because then that becomes like an indoctrination, and especially that realistically, like the chakras and all that, yes, it does affect these bodies. It's like whatever you eat. You eat avocados or you eat GMO plastic cheese, it's going to affect the body. There's a difference. And so that's cause and effect here. But when it comes to your real awareness, I do the best I can to put no restrictions on that. This is where the new you becomes the real connection. But you decide how to see what appears, what shows up, what happens with your experience of this, without defining it in some particular way, you see. So this becomes very, very interesting. Then you define it accordingly the best you can as a reference. And then it's like reading between the lines. So this is where I'm trying to get everybody to where we don't need the Skypes and that anymore. We're prehistoric here. We shouldn't have to use any of these things. We should have a sense about us that, is beyond all this, but we're restricted to it. So here we have affirmations, don't we? And they're sold to the public and whatever. Well, if that's what you want, go for it. Yes, I would say, yes, start off there. Just like when you start off with diapers and you rode your little tricycle, you start off there. But here you are, you're 45 or 50, and it's a little bit hard to get on that tricycle, isn't it, and pedal those wheels. It's a toughie. So you want to keep doing the same things. It's very restricting. So I don't see the is that with any of these things. But, each person decides. It's their free will. All I'm saying is it's just a lot better than that. You want real freedom? Well, it's even better than that. But again, I would say the secret to life is that you put life first. You decide to take on the challenge of recognizing the ISSSNESS, and you learn to put that first before anything in your life, and you're going to see what others won't. Yes, it's so far out, and you will surpass any idea of real freedom or whatever. But again, the affirmations, each person decides those, and certain things in certain areas, they do apply. It's kind of like, okay, I will build this. All right, that's an affirmation, isn't it? Yes, I will build this, and we will build it today. That's an affirmation. So again, it's like, okay, we're going to build this box. This is what we're going to do today. Well, then once the box is built, and we place it over there, and we put stuff in it, and we put it on the shelf, okay, done. But I'm not going to live by that affirmation, you see, unless it comes up again and I need it, because the whole of life is better. Again, it's like the sun shining. So, yes, we can use these things, but to be subject to them, that's a choice we make. So eventually you become the effect of it, and that's all you are, is you are constant effect of these sound good ideas. It's a choice.